Welcome to JBC, and that is,
Just Brothers Chopping.
yeah, man, I'm so glad to be back with you. I'm Renaissance the Messenger, and
This is Twan.
yeah, man, it's the last show did excellent with Faith, and I was really pleased with the viewership, and it was like, and then this week, and I'm not meaning to go back, but I have to, bro, I have to, because that Faith
Yeah.
was a good movie. It was in my studies, and I was getting ready for emotional intelligence, but then the
Mhm.
guy came up talking about faith. Faith without works is dead. And I was like, okay, I know that.
Right.
I've heard that before. I was like, but how does that apply? And I was like, faith is a substance of things hoped for.
Mm-hmm.
You hoping for something that you can't see. I'm hoping for a better job, a better life, a better marriage, or a better relationship with my family, whatever it is that you're hoping for.
Right.
But it said faith without works
Mm-hmm.
is dead. So the only thing I want to say is, man, if you're out there and you doing it, we hopefully today we can give you steps of faith. Wouldn't you think that'd be a good tactic? Because can't get people to kind of run in faith and they are just building up hope. What do you think about that?
I totally agree with that.
Yeah,
Totally
yeah.
agree.
I think because we just got to build them up. And when I heard that faith thing, and it's like some things happened in between the last show, and it was like faith had to work, but then it's not just a mental thing. Mental puts you in a position where you can think of how to strategically move in your earthly daily goings.
Right.
And it was like, so I had to walk on faith. And it was like, as soon as I went to do something, but I wasn't sure, I'll be honest with you. And I was on that faith thinking,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, well, you know what, let me proceed.
Mm-hmm.
And my spirit did something where it's blocked the transaction.
Okay.
And it blocked it twice. And when it blocked it the second time, I was like, I'm not supposed to do this at all.
Hmm.
Now, if
Mm-hmm.
I go ahead on and try to figure out another way to make it happen, I'm forcing something to come about.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So is
Right.
it faith? But
Mm.
I was so glad that we started to read and study. You get protection around you. It protected me from doing something foolish.
Right.
Flat out, like
Mm.
Dad say, it's that
Yeah.
foolishness.
So
But
you.
faith is an actual work. So when we talk about faith, family, today we're going to talk about one of the cornerstones of faith. And you and I talk about this, and everybody's on this AI, artificial intelligence. Well, let me talk about what was here before artificial intelligence that made us make choices, bad, good, or indifferent.
Right.
Emotional intelligence.
Emotional intelligence. Hmm. And it's here to stay.
Oh my gosh. But it's now such a topic that's being talked about by certain great mindsets. There's a guy on LinkedIn who has a feature about this stuff. And when I read it, I was like, I know what it is. And I'm not perfect, but I had been taking steps to build up emotional intelligence. What do you think is a big overall meaning for you of emotional intelligence?
It's an awareness for me. It's definitely you have to be like self-aware. And it's really about engaging, activating your your thought processes and kind of opening up yourself to receive and absorb other people's emotions. You have to kind of tap into other people in a sense to kind of gauge where they are. You know, because it's not just about us. I know in this world it's so easy to think, oh, it's me, me, me. It's about me, and I just want to get my voice out. But I mean, really, you have to really think about other people because, as they say, we are all connected. And, emotional intelligence, that's a crux of humanity. So long as humanity is here, emotional intelligence will be here. It has to. That's the only way humanity will work.
All right. You know what? I like that. And it's like, and when you were giving that definition just now, it's like, okay, what character popped into my mind? And he deals with faith, but he deals with emotional intelligence at the same time.
Mm,
And that was Noah.
mm. Oh, yeah. Wow. That's a good one.
Because now, I remember Frank and a few other neighborhood drunks how they be walking by the house back in the
Yeah.
days. And
Right.
I had some uncles who stayed drunk. Had an aunt who
Yeah.
stayed pissy drunk.
Broad daylight.
You know, so we know about alcoholism. All right.
Yeah.
So when I think of Noah and him, oh man, you drunk, you building this boat. Okay, first of all, you gotta have faith to build a boat. It ain't never rained.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Hmm.
rather than listen to the fear being disseminated, saying, "Hey man, man, come over here and just die with us," Noah was like, "No," and his emotional intelligence was so intact that he didn't allow any outside sounds to differentiate what he heard inside that
Hmm.
gave him the spiritual instructions while he
Hmm.
was drinking.
Yeah.
Ain't that something?
Well, he's in the spirit in more ways than one,
And emotions are the biggest crux in most African Americans. And please do not take this as a negative connotation. It's just when they realized that they could influence us by our decision makings and how they made our emotions feel. That's why they would take things and they would beat us and they would do humiliating things to see how
Hmm.
you respond emotionally.
Hmm. To control.
Right, but it's like when you thinking, well, because I'm my own man, I'm grown man, grown woman, I can do this right here. You're right, but are there consequences that are profitable or dire?
Hmm.
And emotionally, they'll get us where. I mean, I watch TV, but I don't
Hmm.
absorb it. I'll say it like that. And
Right.
because I can see the commercials, and it's like they're always telling people, "Hey, if you get this, this will make you look better. This will make you feel better. This sale right here is going to be the one for you. This sale, how about this one? We got another holiday sale coming for you. Your way. It's all emotional strings,
Right. Right.
and it's like they're playing Geppetto and we're Pinocchio.
Hmm.
And it's like, as long as I can keep you on these strings like puppets, I can make you and I can influence you. So I'll get on TV and I'll say we're raising gas prices. I'll raise rice prices. In fact, we're gonna raise prices and keep wages the same.
Hmm.
See, what's your emotional response to that?
I
Oh,
mean,
huh?
we're gonna raise prices and keep the what was the thing? What was your question?
I was just basically saying how we're gonna raise the gas price up and keep our emotions under control. People are gonna
That's not
respond
gonna
with their
happen.
emotions.
No, yeah, that's all a part of it. I think the more spun up we are, the easier we are to it's easier to control. When I think about like like a little those little spinning tops from back in the day, if you keep it spinning, you can make it do whatever you want to do. You can just barely touch it and it'll react. And I feel like that with us as humans, if you keep spinning, then the slightest thing can get you off track.
And here's the thing of technology where I'm not a basher. I was like, but when they started making these phones and now they got phones everywhere. Phones, flip phones, the old phones, refurbished phones. So everyone basically had access to a phone. So once they
Hmm.
got you on this particular device, now I can focus your attention to be on it and not on these things that are around you. So now everything's happening out here, but you're focused in here. So
Hmm.
you emotionally get pulled in.
Hmm.
That's why social media was we laughed at it with MySpace, and now look at it.
Yeah.
I mean, they
Yeah.
got WhatsApp, Telegram, all kind of stuff that I don't even necessarily use, but I
Right.
have access to. But it's like they have so many ways to communicate with people in different countries and different
Hmm.
mindsets. But it's all about the emotions that we go into these relationships with that determine our outcome. How about that?
Agreed.
You know,
Yeah.
why do you think? Here's a good question. Why do you think people go to a job or get a career thinking that it is going to be the fix all to my financial woes of life?
I would say the reason why people do that is because they just, their thought process is, this is a fix, this is my problem. this is the fix, to get this job. And lots of times people go, they chase the salary and whatnot. And again, that can be also emotionally driven and can be something that, you're chasing something, and now you're spinning and you can be easily emotionally drawn in because lots of times, the more money as they say, the more money you make, the more money they take. And that in and of itself can draw stress and emotional, that you wind up emotionally as well.
Right. And therein lies the problem. So my thing is, for me, I was going to share, now we'll share with you that I had to take inventory of my emotions. Now, that was first thing I had to do. So before you try to go fix, well, because some people know they have emotional rage. Some people know they have emotional displeasure or self-esteem issue. All those things go back to your emotional control center. And so I was thinking, how can we give them that step of faith where when I take tomorrow's step, I might not see the result, but I'm gonna still take it in hopes that I'll reach my goal. I'll get to that evidence not seen. It'll become
Right.
seen.
Right.
And I was thinking, I was like, what can it be? And it said, for one, we have to take inventory. That means I sat
Hmm.
down as a
Yeah.
teacher, and I was still teaching every day. But when I would go to work, I would notice the different little thoughts that would enter my mind. Like if I thought about what am I going to eat for dinner,
Hmm.
or why is this child acting up, or why is this principal over here coming in my room, or whatever it
Hmm.
is that I was thinking of that had emotional tugs to it. I was
Right.
like, why am I thinking about this? And
Hmm.
it's because I thought that I could control the narrative.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I did this for almost about a week and a half just to see how my emotions and what would pull me, because I really wanted to study me.
Hmm.
And when I got to the end of it, I realized every thought that we have, and including everybody in your family, it has an emotional feeling attached to it.
Right.
Like if I mention the word separation, it has a certain meaning to you.
Hmm. Yeah. And it
And
does with
see, me,
everyone.
separation has a different meaning to me. It still means the same of being apart, but
Right.
it has a different emotional charge to it, if you get what I'm
Hmm.
saying.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so what I learned to do was stop the thoughts that were coming in saying that I could control something that was out of my control. I stopped
Hmm.
those thoughts.
Hmm.
I just cut them off. Now, family, this is a 6 month process because them thoughts, because we're so accustomed to them, don't you think?
Yeah. Agreed. And like you said, those thoughts, those they probably stem from fear. Yeah.
You go to that show we did about it, and see when I thought about it, and I was like, okay, it was like, well, I had already did a few times for child support, get me caught up going to little prison for a few days or whatever. So it made me move differently, and I
Mm.
didn't like it because I was
Right.
like, I was going to work, and I was like, I was doing things that I wasn't happy with, but I was trying to fulfill a need so I can avoid that prison.
Right. Hmm.
See, so after a while, I was like, I stopped thinking about all of that and the emotions that came with it, even though I'm familiar with the feeling of
Hmm.
being behind this little incarcerated wall for 30
Right.
plus days. I know what it feels like,
Hmm.
and that happened. So, but what I did, and that was when we'll bury ourselves in for the day, and it's like that every thought has an emotion.
Yeah. It does.
How has there been a time in your life where something that you're thinking about, and you had an emotional thought about it, and then it actually came about in the same negative way you probably didn't want?
Mm. I would say so. Yeah. And also, I really feel that, as they say, you as you think, so shall be. You know, yeah. I mean, countless situations. With jobs. Applying for a job, and thinking that oh, this is going to be the right move. And getting in there, and then come to find out, I have feelings that like this is probably not it, but I need to get this job, and then you get the job and it's like comes out being exactly what you thought it was going to be,
Right.
not the best situation, you know. But again, I was motivated by a sense of fear and not faith. Kind of like how you said that was me trying to force something. Had I just remained focused and taken that inventory, like you said, not been able to just sit, and then, eventually get to that place where I needed to be. Because that job that I needed actually did come, and it came when it was supposed to come. It came on time. So had I not taken that other job that I taken out of fear, this job still would have came on time. And it's,
Yeah.
regardless, I still would have been in a good place. You know, I lost
Yeah.
track of that
And
faith.
that's a perfect example of and it made me think of King David in the Bible. It's like when he heard that he was going to be the king of Israel, when he was a little child keeping sheep.
Hmm.
Guess what? He still had to go out in the field and keep what? Keep them sheep.
You can see, yeah.
Now, he had already been anointed, but it was like, and then they was like, oh, you can run. You ain't this. And his brothers still was talking about him. And it's like, imagine if he gets so emotionally caught up, like, man, my brother's always this and that. If he gets caught up there,
Hmm.
he loses focus here.
Yep. Hmm.
And family, that first thing we talked about, that emotional inventory, that's the first step to your faith. Realize what is it that charges you in a negative way. I'll use that word.
Hmm.
I'm gonna just be blunt because we
Yeah,
can
I like that.
those things that we know that we already do well. Those aren't the focus right here. It's those things that we don't do well that we know in our own personal life. Like, yo, I really want to get a handle on this.
Hmm.
Why do we have these emotional thoughts about it and then act upon it? And see,
Mm.
we're thinking. The basic thing is you got to change your thinking.
Right.
You have to change your thinking, and that's where family. If you get this one thing done, everything else we share with you, you will knock it down so easily. So the foundational thing, which is what you and I talked about,
Hmm.
as far as what we're doing with this show, JBC, the foundational thing is getting an established point of faith.
Hmm.
Because everything that we talk about from that platform on is going to step on top of faith and build our house and build
Exactly.
it up until we got an erect foundation where we can know that when the storms come, I
We
ain't
are
getting
solid,
in.
protected. Now back to this taking inventory. So just to get an idea. So and I get it, but I'm just so you sit back. For one, you got to place like you got to be in the mindset of making this a plan. This is something that you want to do. This is not something that just sounds good. This is something that I really want to put into work. So you sit down and you really just like pay attention to what's coming in. What are you attracted to? What are you gravitated? What's your gravitational pull? What are you
Mm-hmm.
drawn to that you absorb? And take note of that. And that's you start there. Just take note of that so you can become aware of what is driving you. And then see from there, like what is your response? So it's almost like taking yourself out of yourself and just pay attention to how you act normally and just take note of it.
Yeah,
This is the
still do
yeah,
what you
but take
normally
note.
do.
But take note of it, and then what is your response? So, what is the input? What is the output? Which is controlled by us. The output is controlled by us. Just take note of that, and then so then you're looking at yourself from an objective point of view, and then from there, you can actually figure out your plan of attack. And you'll be able to identify these sources like what are these things that I'm taking in that charges me. This is negative. This is negative. Doesn't apply to me. Really, it's none of my business. And
Right,
then you
exactly.
able to like chip away at that stuff.
And that's what you do. And when you chip away at it, you then can get into who you actually are and who you were created to be. And you can function on those emotions that are builders
Mm-hmm.
versus one that are detractors.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's taking away, it's not adding. So, but when I say you have to really have some spiritual discipline, and because I
Right.
want to be right with you, family. It's like what he said is perfectly true, but you got to be so disciplined in the daytime, and when you catch that thought and that emotion, don't be
Mm-hmm.
mad at it. Just be like,
Yeah.
okay, this. And here is something that I'll share with you when I was just getting to stage one of what helped me develop emotional intelligence. And some people, they had to go to therapy, or they might still need to develop emotional awareness so I
Mm-hmm.
can build emotional intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
And I have these. These are my little journals.
Mm-hmm.
These journals date back 21 years.
Wow.
21 years I've been writing notes about my emotional things that pull me, my emotional responses to them. And when I could
Mm-hmm.
see it for those first, between 2003 and 2012, I was looking at my emotions and I was like, wow, I was trying to be a good person and fulfilling some of that. But at the same time, it was because I wanted people to see me in a certain light. And if they didn't, then I felt some type of way about me. And I was like, ah.
Mm.
And that would cause me to make a rash decision or a simple minded one. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh. But I took an inventory through my journaling.
Right. Huh.
And I've only went to one quote unquote psychologist ever, and it was after my father passed.
Mm-hmm.
And when I talked with him, he gave me just a simple nuance on how to live life and how to approach it. And that's probably why I started journaling intentionally, because that would be my own therapy.
It's funny. I was going to bring that word up, intention. It's intentionality. Everything we're talking about is with intention.
And it
You
has to
know.
be.
Yeah.
Because for us to want to be better and keep saying it year in, year out, we're in our 30s and our 40s and our 50s, and some of us in our 60s and 70s. Have you really truly gotten better? Have you just been, it's been a token thing that sounds good to say to the next man you see?
Right.
Cause I don't want to see that old brother I know, blah blah blah. Be like, yo man, how you getting along, man? I'm well, man. When I say I'm doing well, I'm doing well. I mean
Yeah.
literally, like everything is good. I'm at a peaceful point. There are no thoughts coming in with emotions that I don't have control of.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And what do you think is the biggest additive when you can develop emotional intelligence? Today is about emotional inventory, but what do you think is a big thing when you can figure out how your thoughts work?
The big thing, how you can figure out how your thoughts work, is to, like I said, just pay attention to like what charges you. And then sometimes you have to look, maybe take an even deeper level to see why is it charging me that way. You know, I'm always liking to know the why. There's this one thing they said like the five whys. Is if you keep asking yourself why, eventually you'll get down to the root of any question. You know, why is why is the sun fiery red? Because of gases and things. Why do gases emit the light that they do? And then eventually, and that's a bad example, but like if you just keep asking yourself like why, that's why is the most important and most intelligent question in the world, and kids ask it all the time. And if interesting, you start talking to a kid and you give them an answer, and they're like, well, why? Well, why? Well, why? Eventually, you'll get to a point where you don't probably have an answer to it.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's how, as Socrates said, the most intelligent person knows that he knows nothing.
Yeah,
You know,
and that's it. And
and
but
that's
the thing
okay.
is, we have a lot of adults, and I'm talking about newer adults too, who are younger and they've been raised a little different, so they are buying into the emotional distractions.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, they are mentally, it's impairing them mentally to be able to make grown folks' decisions. Because you got a 30-year-old Walmart worker who won't know how to go to work on time.
Right.
It's because he probably never went to class on time and no one held him accountable. So there's
Mm-hmm.
no emotional tie to it that says if I'm here early, then I'll be able to get what I need. And it's not, I'm here early for the man.
Right.
Cut that out. You
Right.
here early for yourself.
For yourself.
See, when we
Yes.
keep looking at the man, and I was like, even with tones of racism, when I see
Yeah.
them, and I've dealt with them probably about the past 10 months, and I was living right amongst them. I'm talking about
Mm-hmm.
living dead in the middle of the pit with them, bro. I didn't flinch. I didn't get emotional. Oh, I can't do this. You got to get. I was like, yeah, I was ready to leave, but I was ready to stand fast because I was like, I knew I didn't walk in fear.
Right.
What you thought about me could not, I would not pick it up, charge it, and be like,
Mm.
oh, yes, I'm a failure. No,
Yeah.
that's your definition.
Right.
This is mine.
This is mine.
And I'm going to hold on to mine because mine is bringing me life, and it's like it's causing you anguish.
Hmm.
I'm looking at you being pissed because you're like, honey, I'm at no car, no home, and I'm happier than you. They're like,
Hmm.
this,
How?
yeah, this ain't supposed to happen. I'm
Right.
emotionally in control,
Hmm. And you're focused
and I don't
on
have to
something.
have whatever they told me were the objects that would ensure my credibility, or as you said
Hmm.
last time, validation.
Hmm.
See, when you don't look for outside validation, you need no inside validation. Therefore, you work on the emotional intelligence. Whether Sam tells you hey or Sam does not tell you hey is not going to make my morning shine any brighter
Exactly.
or less. So,
Exactly.
yeah, emotional, but emotions are black. If you want to think about it, here's a simple analogy. Go to a black church, go to a white church. What's the difference? Emotional responses.
Yeah.
One's gonna be louder, amen, hallelujah, jumping and shouting and this, and the other one's gonna be like, yes, brother, go ahead on and talk. Now, does
Hmm.
that mean one learn any more than the other? I don't know.
Yes. Jury's still out. I
Yeah,
mean,
but
yeah.
I know your thought has some emotion while you're in that building. And see, that's what I'm
Yes.
thinking of. What was the emotion? And that's what I want us to work on, that one thing between us and the next show. Take an inventory of your thought, but take an inventory of the emotion that comes with it.
Right. With no judgment.
Yeah,
Don't
you
be hard on
can
yourself.
because
It's okay.
at that time I was dealing with my daughter's mothers, and I just felt so blah about them, and I had to stop
Hmm.
blaming them
Hmm.
for my situation, even though I knew they helped it happen.
Right.
And when I stopped blaming them, I just started walking, just start walking, and kept going and kept going and kept walking. It was like, and I stopped giving them that emotional thing where I was like, I was going back and forth with them mentally with my emotional ties. They were
Hmm.
winning.
Yeah.
When I pulled that string away and they couldn't get me to respond or react,
Mm.
oh, they were in a pizzy.
Mm.
They were pissed. They were like, because I wasn't emotionally responding to their conjectures or their attitudes.
Right.
It was, I realized I was losing the battle.
Hmm.
It's like emotions are like getting into an ocean
Yeah.
when a hurricane is coming.
Hmm.
There's gonna be a whole lot of forces and wind coming around you, but can you hold tight? Can you hold fast? And when I think about it, it's like, you can't.
Yeah.
The smart man is not going to even go close to that body of water. In fact, he's going to be inside, protected from that, because his emotional intelligence tell him, "Why do I need to be out there?"
Right.
That's like why you trying to figure out why the sun is red and why.
Yeah.
See, it does nothing for my emotions if I know that information. And so that's how logistically I compartmentalize thoughts every day. Oh, this one, kick it out, kick it. I mean, I kick
Yeah.
thoughts out all day.
You have to. I have to. That's the only way you stay balanced and you can keep focused on what you should be focused on.
Yeah, and that's
Because
what,
if not,
and
you
that's right. And what we want is our family members to get grounded because if you can then have your emotional control, you can then have faithful victories.
mm,
See,
I like that. Yeah.
over your fears
Mm-hmm.
because you stayed focused and intentional.
Mm-hmm.
And-
As they say, what emotions are energy in motion, right? So what are you feeding your energy to? Fear or faith?
I don't have to say anymore because I mean that just basically is step one. Between now, we're going to just talk about that emotional inventory that you're going to take. Take that of yourself and hold yourself accountable.
Praises and continual thanks to everyone who shared in this moment of refreshing water, bringing life and light to our souls. This has been TRC, the Renaissance Chronicles, a hustle